Hey wizards, how's it going? Welcome to the Leaky Cauldron. If you're just arriving now, don't be a muggle. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you can stay up to date with everything that's going on here. And hey, know that you can become a member and get access to some really cool benefits. Like these cauldrons that go next to your name. They're little badges to show that you're a caldeirati. Did we ever decide on a name for caldeiraofurado fans? There's no caldeiratis, caldeironers, or caldeireros. Sorry about the bad names. I do have some creativity, but feel free to suggest better ones. Anyway, these badges that go next to your name change depending on how long you've been a member. There are people who have been in the Golden Cauldron for more than 2 years as members, so let's give a round of applause for the Golden Cauldrons, the Golden Calderons. That's crazy! And besides that, you can use emojis here. I know, yeah, it's been a while and the emojis are still the same, right? I've never updated them. I know that, but I never promised anything much beyond that. So, it's all good. People don't really use emojis as much now. They've become kind of cringe, I think. Anyway, if you want, you can do all that. Then leave your like on the video, comment if you want, alright? So thanks for clicking here on another video, right from the start. The wand is a mandatory instrument for all Hogwarts students, as stated in their acceptance letter, which comes with a list of supplies. It states they must bring a wand. It's mandatory with no exceptions. And it's very common for wizards in Great Britain to buy their wands at Ollivander's shop, which has been making wands since 382 before Christ. In fact, people from outside Great Britain also travel to buy their wands at Ollivander's, because the Ollivander family's reputation for making wands is very well known. And Garrick Ollivander is considered one of the greatest wand makers in the world. Obviously, other places have their own craftsmen, like Mickey Grigorovich from Eastern Europe, or even Cosme Akajor from France. Not to mention North American craftsmen like Tiago Quintana, Violeta Belvo, and Shakoba Wolf. And each of these craftsmen makes wands with unique and distinct characteristics based on their own studies and research. And it's practically a rule that students who are about to start at the magic school serving the region where they live need a wand. It's a very personal item used by most wizards worldwide.
Oh.
Sorry, there was an accident here in the studio. Never leave a glass of Coke near your hand if you gesture a lot. Anyway, it's pretty much a rule that students, when they start at the magic schools that serve their regions, need a wand. With the exception of some places in the world, like on the African continent for example, where they don't use wands and do magic with their hands. But in some cases, when it's time for the wizard to buy their wand, they don't exactly follow this path. They might end up inheriting someone else's wand. For example, Ron inherits his wand from Charlie, and Neville from his father. Which raises a doubt, doesn't the wand choose the wizard? Well, that's a consensus among wand scholars, but not everyone follows it. Not every wizard understands wands, and not every craftsman applies this when making their own wands.
And that doesn't mean that when a wizard inherits a wand, they won't be able to use it, or that it won't work. That's not it.
Certainly, if it were a wand that had chosen the person, it would work much better for that individual. It's as if an inherited wand, one that doesn't choose the person, or a wand that isn't mastered by the person, doesn't reach its full potential. The bond between the person and the wand is extremely important, combined with the specific wood and magical core for that individual. So, yes, it does make a difference if the wand isn't the one that chose the wizard, but it doesn't mean it's impossible for him to cast spells with that wand. And of course, besides inheriting the wand, there's also the matter of mastering other wands. But that doesn't really apply to children, right? Who are just starting their school years and getting their first wand. That occurs more often in older people. But besides those two situations, there's also a very interesting one, which is wizards who made their own wands. That's very curious and very interesting. One of the 4 founders of Hogwarts, Salazar Slytherin, who is considered one of the greatest wizards of his time, made his own wand. Despite his prejudiced ideology, Salazar Slytherin was indeed a great sorcerer, with great magical abilities.
And he used his knowledge to craft a wand that was perfect for him.
And probably, This wand he created is his second wand, not the first, because the first one was acquired when he was young.
Even though Hogwarts didn't exist when he was a child, he probably had a wand before becoming the founder of the school. The wood he used to make his wand is known as snakewood or pau cobra. It's called that because its appearance is very similar to the look of snakes, and the magical core of Salazar's wand was nothing less than a fragment of the basilisk's horn. Exactly the basilisk that he created to leave in the Chamber of Secrets at Hogwarts. So, because of that, I come to the conclusion that this wand was a second wand, because Salazar only created the basilisk when he was about to leave Hogwarts. He creates the basilisk and leaves it in the Chamber of Secrets, since he previously used the chamber to teach forbidden magic, which the other founders disapproved of, to his students. The chamber at first wasn't the home of the basilisk. He only put the basilisk there when he decided to leave Hogwarts. Since his wand has a fragment of the basilisk's horn, that leads me to believe he only made this wand later, after founding Hogwarts. It was a second wand.
And a very interesting thing about the characteristics of Salazar Slytherin's wand is that it was made specifically to be inherited by his descendants.
Unlike Ollivander's wands, which are chosen by each person, Salazar made this one to be inherited and passed down through generations.
And it's really interesting that it has these characteristics that are so closely related to a serpent, right? The wood is called snakewood, and the appearance of the wood actually resembles the skin of a snake. The core is a fragment of the horn of a magical serpent. So it's really cool to see these characteristics in the wand. Salazar wanted to put all of that into his wand, to make this wand extremely characteristic of him, of his brand, since he was known as a Parselmouth. And Salazar's wand had a unique power. It was able to put people to sleep. Salazar taught the wand to put people to sleep. Through Parseltongue, he would give a command and the wand would simply go to sleep, becoming unusable.
So only his heirs, his descendants who were Parselmouths, could use this wand, could activate it, could wake it up to use it. That's very interesting. And I have a little theory that Salazar Slytherin made this wand when he decided to leave the basilisk in the Chamber of Secrets. And then, the locket that opened with Parseltongue initially had the instructions to find and open the chamber. The wand was also an artifact that needed Parseltongue to be used, right? To be activated or to be put to sleep.
So I believe that these items he created and left for his descendants contained these instructions so they could complete his task of purging Muggleborns from Hogwarts.
But that's just a theory. Just speculation anyway. His wand was passed down through his descendants until it was stolen from Gormleth Gaunt, who was a dark witch that killed her sister and brother-in-law and kidnapped her niece.
Because they rejected the pureblood ideology and she wanted to protect the family name.
But then, her niece, who was none other than Isolde Sayre, the founder of Ilvermorny School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, which is the magic school of North America, steals this wand and escapes to the New World. There, she builds Ilvermorny, and so on. And then the wand stays with Isolde Sayre, until Gormleth Gaunt manages to find her and puts the wand to sleep. Because Isolde Sayre was not a Parselmouth. She could understand, but she couldn't speak Parseltongue. She could understand the horned serpent, which is a North American magical creature, but she couldn't speak it. So, Gormleth Gaunt arrives there at Ilvermorny, puts the wand to sleep, and makes it unusable. And after Gormley is defeated, Isolde Sayre decided that she wouldn't use that wand, that she wouldn't try to reactivate it in any way. She buries it on the grounds at Ilvermorny. And a year after that wand was buried, a tree grew from it. And every attempt they made to cut it, kill it, or prune it failed.
But they discovered that the leaves of this tree had healing powers, and then it started being used for those purposes.
So, the end of Salazar Slytherin's wand, created by him, wasn't really an end.
That wand became something still used today at Ilvermorny for good.
And Salazar wasn't the only famous wizard who made his own wand. After his era, a wand appeared that, even to this day, is the subject of strong legends, stories, and myths. Obviously, I'm referring to the Elder Wand. The legend says that the Elder Wand was a gift from death itself to one of the brothers, who managed to trick it. However, that's nothing more than a fable. A story that, yes, is inspired by the lives of the brothers, but it's meant to teach a moral lesson, a teaching, The personification of death doesn't really exist, because death is something completely ordinary. Everyone is going to die. This mysticism surrounding it only proves how much wizards and ordinary people try to avoid it, run from it, and dodge it all the time. Dumbledore said the Elder Wand was made by Antioch Peverell, the eldest brother. He was an exceptionally brilliant wizard, extremely talented, who crafted the wand. And then the legend arose around this wand precisely because it was so unusual, so powerful. And what makes it so powerful, so different from other wands? First of all, its core, the hair from a Thestral's tail, which is a magical creature, completely associated with death, invisible to those who have never witnessed death, and is the subject of many superstitions. People believe it's a creature that brings extreme bad luck, that it means death, when in reality, they are very loyal and very gentle, very docile. And the wood used to make the Elder Wand is the rarest wood for making wands, which is elder wood. It's a wood with an equally tainted reputation. People believe that an Elder Wand brings bad luck. There's even a saying, Elder Wand, bad luck all year round.
But it's a wood that, when combined with this core and with its master, the person who wields it becomes extremely powerful.
It's a fact that the wand has properties not seen in other wands, like repairing a broken wand. But that has everything to do with the wizard who mastered the wand, with the wizard who conquered that wand. And more than 600 years after the existence of Salazar Slytherin, who was the first wizard we mentioned here, who created a wand, his descendant, who was also a bearer of the wand, Isolt Sayre, who was the founder of Ilvermorny, also made wands, not just for herself, but for her adopted children as well. An even more interesting detail is that Isolt Sayre didn't make the wand alone. She made this wand with the help of her husband, who was a muggle, and who had extensive experience with this kind of woodworking. He carved the wands, and Isolt Sayre added and created the magical core. And the core she used was actually fragments of the horned serpent's horn. Besides that, Isolt Sayre also made wands for other students who arrived at Ilvermorny right at the beginning, of the school.
Her adopted children's wands were twin wands because they shared the same core from the same creature.
And when the siblings fought against someone else together, the power of their wands increased tenfold, because the twin cores made the wands stronger when used together. That's how the siblings fought Gormleth Gaunt during her invasion of Ilvermorny. Isolt Sayre used the horned serpent core only in her children's wands, so their wands, Shadwick's and Webster's, were completely rare. She and James Stewart, who was her husband, started using wampus hair, snallygaster heartstring, and even jackalope horn shavings, which are North American magical creatures, and it's likely that Isolt Sayre made a wand for herself.
After the wand, which belonged to Salazar Slytherin, was put to rest and buried.
Though she descended from Salazar Slytherin, she wasn't a Parselmouth. These are the wizards who, confirmedly, made their own wands.
It is suspected, of course, that Garrick Ollivander made his own wand, that Mickey Grigorovich also made his own wand, and other craftsmen as well. But that's just a suspicion. We can't know for sure, because there is no confirmation.
Besides, if they made their own wands, they were second wands. Garrick Ollivander, coming from a family that had been in the wand-making business for so many years, probably made his own wand there when he was still young, but we haven't confirmed that.
It's just something I imagine might have happened. For sure, wands and this field of study, which is known as wand lore, are very interesting. And I really wish it was explored a bit more in the Harry Potter universe because I believe it could go in some really cool directions.
And if you want an episode just about wands and the differences between the Wandmakers, what each one does, how they make these wands, what they put in them, and how they believe the wands work best for wizards and their clients, leave a comment here, and I'll make an episode just about that.
See you next episode of The Leaky Cauldron, Mischief Managed.